read that into our hearts so that we may be motivated to do according to that. All of us, Holy Spirit, amen. Take out one of the Bibles up to page 995. However, you see, I've said it before, one of the benefits of not writing homilies is to keep yourself open. So when I heard the epistle this morning, I want to talk about that first. And I don't know what page it's on, just read the book here, probably open to page 95. St. Paul tells the Colossian people, put to death, that means put to an end. Therefore, what is earthly in you? Very difficult for us to do, especially living in America today. We are a wealthy country, and we have, for the most part, in this room and most people in our community have lots of material benefits to them. Put away, therefore, what is earthly in you: fornication, impurity, passion, evil desire, and covetousness or jealousy, which is idolatry. Fornication. I would think that, sadly to say, the majority of people in this country, especially younger generation people, are involved in fornication. Come down on Friday or Saturday, look on Avenue, it's packed with young people. You might think that they're there to have some drinks and have some fun, but the idea in their mind is always to get into meeting someone so that they can fornicate. The word fornicate, it sounds like a difficult word, because it's what animals do. It's not what, sex was not given to us by God for fornication, or just to go from person to person to person to person. Impurity, thinking evil thoughts, thinking thoughts, again, that would lead to fornication. Passion. We're not talking about a passion for Jews, we're talking about an improper type of passion. People that it blows my mind, that go to the internet and they're looking at porn sites. I'll tell you a story. When my son Johnny was a little boy, I was in Osmond Springs, he was told that Playboy magazine had a photo pictorial of the Virgin Mary that was considered to be really very indecent. And I was curious. So I went to the 7-Eleven where I sometimes buy milk, and the man, the proprietor, was a Spanish fellow. And I said, and in those days, things like Playboy were kept behind the counter. You see, so that young people didn't go leafing through them. So I said to him, do you have a copy of this month's Playboy? He looked at me and said, you want a copy of the Playboy magazine? It's kind of like, before you get the one right here. So I told him what I was looking for. I said, could you find it in there for me? And he was shocked. He didn't know what was in there. And they were like icons. It was like Byzantine icons in Pure of the Virgin Mary. Okay? So today we don't have to do that anymore. They can just go to the internet and pick out all this stuff. Evil desire. I want something, and it's not necessarily a good thing to me. It's something that evil. For example, and I'm just making a statement here. I remember somebody told me before, during, after the election, they said, oh, you hate so-and-so. I said, I don't hate anybody. I don't. I hate sometimes what people do, but I don't hate anybody. So an evil desire is to see that someone should die, or that we want them, what do you call it, something bad to happen. That's an evil desire. And covetousness, jealousy. You know, the American economy is, believe it or not, based on jealousy. I think Janice is old enough to remember. I know Gene is old enough to remember. Remember when cars used to change their design every couple of years? My father told me many things. One thing he told me, he said, son, do you ever wonder why the cars change their design every couple of years? I said, no, I don't know. He said, it's called planned obsolescence. So that you've got to have the newest model of the car. And they kept people buying car after year. And one of my examples that I've given so many times is only that are old enough. They didn't have blow dryers that you could take to the house years ago. First they came up with a hot comb. Remember hot combs? So when the hot comb, they went to the blow dryer. And the blow dryers were like 250 watts. And then they came out with 500 watts. And then the 1,000 watts. The last one was like the 1,500 watts. You could blow dry a horse. What do you need 1,500? But people kept buying it because this jealousy of someone has something they don't have. My dad, my father was a wise man. He said, son, if you go by somebody's a big house, like a mansion, and there's a very expensive car parked in front of it, and maybe there's a boat in the yard that you can see. He said, what does that tell you? I said, they have money, Daddy? He said, no, they have payments. So people will continue to get it. They want to get more and more and more because they're jealous of the other person. Why do they have what I don't have? And I can honestly tell you, believe it or not, if you don't believe that's your problem, I have no jealousy. I have no jealousy because my father again told me, he said, son, when you look at something that somebody else has, do you know what it costs them to have that? Not only are they making payments, maybe they never had time with their family, maybe they didn't have time for this. They were always out there trying to make money. So don't be jealous of what somebody has because you don't know what it costs them. He said, on account of these, the wrath of God is come upon the sons of disobedience. In these you once walked when you lived in them. And my friends in America today, the majority of the people are living in these days. They are living in these days. But now put them all away. Anger. You get angry so easily. God, people get angry over nothing. And I will confess, most of you that know me know I don't like to drive. And most of you know the reason I don't like to drive is because I don't like who I become. I get angry at the people the way they drive me. So because I have this failing, this flaw, I try not to drive. Wrath! We saw some of that yesterday in Washington. Two groups fighting each other. People were stared. Wrath! I'm so angry! Malice. Wanting bad to come to somebody else. Slander. Talking about people. Putting them down, talking about their name, bringing them down. And foul talk. This is the one. Foul talk. Okay. Have you ever heard first thing? Say it again?
Yes, sir.
Trying to repeat it, give you this example that you've heard later on. Dirty words.
Dirty words not even part of it.
Dirty words is foul talk. Words that come out of your mouth that are upsetting to you. Or the word fire truck contracted, or something else. This is foul talk. Some people, I don't see it anymore, but I used to sometimes I would go downstairs. People used to go downstairs and some heat downstairs. There were people that would go downstairs, so I had to take them home to communion. The body of blood was dressed them out, and they were saying foul talk. I said, my God, it didn't even get to your stomach yet, and you already, it's not cursing. I said that I want to teach them over and over again to get it straight. Cursing someone is to wish them, like saying, go to hell. That's a curse. Drop dead. That's a curse. Using foul language is an obscenity, it's disgusting, but it's not a curse. If you tell, and the quickest way to end this, there are some people that cannot say a sentence without the F word in it. They seem to be having a possibility. They can't get the sentence out without that F word. If you want to stop that debate, all you have to do is say to them, take it literally. Someone said to me one time, they said, oh my, I don't know what the word was. They said, my effing car. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, Father. I said, no, I find that rather interesting. Are you having some sort of a carnal relationship with your car? They said, what? I said, do you understand what this word means? You should know about it, I've told you many times. It's an acronym. Fornication under consent of the king. The word fornication here, which talks about a carnal relation. Are you having a carnal relation with your car? They said, no. I said, well, that's a stupid thing to say. When I die, people will hopefully, sometimes I hope they say something good, and one will say, he was such a pain in the neck about the usage and the meaning of words. Don't use words that don't make sense. You cannot have a blank car. You can't. Or you have a blank day. My God, I hate to think what a blank day would be literally. So keep the foul, use words that are proper. One of the things that my children know this, many people know this, I cannot stand hearing somebody say, shut up. Shut up. Because shut up means to shut your mouth forever. It's like saying, go die. You want to be quiet? Say, be quiet. Don't say shut up. I'll give you another one. And again, if you don't know different cultures, you don't understand this. Oh, about 8, 9 months ago, somebody had an argument with somebody else. And one said to the other, they said, you know, if I had water, I'd throw it in your face. That's not a big thing to me. I mean, to most people, that's not a big thing. The other person did something worse back to them. So the first person said to me, that was really wrong for them to say that. I said, well, what you said was very wrong to them. They said, well, I said, I throw water in your face. You don't know the culture. I think you know this. In the Middle East, if you throw water at someone, it's like some of them leave and never come back. Gone. Not like in America. You tell someone to throw water in your face, say, yeah, well, it's a hot day, go ahead and do it. You wash my body. So we need to understand, use the words probably why. Why? Because it says in the Bible that you're going to be held, and I'm going to be held accountable for every single word. If you keep that in your mind, you will clean up your language. You will use words that properly belong to this or that, not something just saying it off the cuff. Be very careful about what you say, because you're going to be remembered by what you say. It could be the last time you see someone. This happened to a friend of mine, I told a story before. Jimmy Awad, his brother Douglas Awad. He went to the doctor one time. He was so angry. I knew why he was saying to the doctor. He said, drop dead. That night the doctor died. And his brother carried that all his life, believing that he had brought about the death of the doctor by telling him to drop dead. Be careful of your words. They may be the last words you get to say to a person, and God hears all of them. In the gospel today, St. Luke chapter 14, verses 17 to 18, it says, at the time for the dinner, he sent his slave to say to those who had invited, come, for everything is ready now. But they all alike began to make excuses. The first said to him, I have bought a piece of land, and I must go out and see it. Please accept my regrets. Excuses, excuses, excuses. Let me tell you something. An excuse is something that actually allows you to go ahead. Most of what we give are not excuses, they're reasons. Well, I hate him because he did me. I yelled at them because they yelled at me. I did that to them because they did to me. That's not an excuse, that's a reason. That's a reason. And when we look around our society today, there's so much upheaval in America today. Rather than us saying, I don't believe in this and I don't believe in that, we should ask ourselves, why do people feel the way they do? Investigate the background. Some of you remember we had an Orlando Sentinel columnist named Charlie Reese years ago. Charlie Reese was one of the most pro-Israeli columnists you could find. He was always attacking the Palestinians and this and this and this. And then finally he met a fellow named Mohammed Lutfi, who's passed on, and they had lunch, and Mohammed Lutfi started to give the other side of the story. And Charlie Reese overnight became very pro-Palestinian. So again, if you don't know why is a person doing this or why is it? So these are our excuses. He's talking about a supplicant. Visit the Lord's great banquet, the divine liturgy. Yesterday I had a woman call me, and she goes to a fundamentalist, non-denominational church here in Orlando. She said, our church is having services outside. Are you having service on Christmas Eve? I said, yes. She said, I'd like to come to that. I'm looking for something that's traditional. I said, oh, lady, you ain't going to get more traditional. You are not sure. This is traditional. I explained to her about the service. She was just so thrilled and so happy. She said, I can't wait to come. I'm going to come with my husband and this one and this one. I can't wait to come. She said, you sure it's traditional? I said, ma'am, it's very traditional. And the Orthodox Church is very... So we have the Lord's great banquet here. And these are what we call excuses. These are not excuses. Remember that. What I'm going to tell you are not excuses. They are reasons. They are not excuses. I'm busy with other things. Well, Father, I can't come come this Sunday because I have relatives visiting me from up north and we're going to the beach. They have beaches up north. Okay? Okay, I'll go to the beach after. Somebody called me today. They said, I might be a little bit late for church, but I'll be there because they have a lot of things to do. And their spouse said, well, you can skip church. They said, no, I'm not skipping church. I'll do it after. I'll do it yesterday, but I'm not going to skip church. So we're busy with other things. The beach, got to do the laundry. Let me ask you, Vicki, when did you go to laundry day?
Yes, sir.
When are they?
It's Friday night and generally Tuesday afternoon.
Do you have a laundry day? Monday.
No.
You don't do laundry?
Should be every day this week. It just depends on how much I have.
You have a laundry day?
Same thing, we just do it as we need to.
You have a laundry day? Then you do laundry? Why is Sunday a laundry day? Well, I'm off. Well, you know what? With planning, I'm a great believer in planning. Laundry day is never on Sunday. Laundry day sometimes is on a Saturday, sometimes on a Monday, but laundry day is never on a Sunday. When I go to my laundry, well, you should have thought of that beforehand. If something's important, if you have tickets to a concert, you will make sure you are not busy so that you can go to the concert. You know you will. If you got a baseball game to go to, you're going to go to that baseball game. So these are something like house cleaning. Got to clean the house. Not on Sunday. This is the day to do the Lord's work. Kids, this is the biggest. I got to take my kids to practice. I got to take my kids to this. You know what? If people in America who are called Christians would stand up and say in unison, we are not going to practice on Sundays, we are not going to events on Sundays, they would change. They do it because most people don't do that anymore. How about this one? Do you realize that children's birthday parties have become a cottage industry in America? My son will tell you, when they had a birthday, well, he was pinned down on a donkey, either hot dogs or hamburgers, or you got to go with dad to Disney World. Today, oh, I can't come, Father, I have to go to a birthday party, a birthday party, a birthday party. This is an excuse that people want, and then they wonder why their children don't grow up to go to church. A soiree. I have something to do. I was invited to this. I got, does God offer the excuses? I ask you, does God offer these excuses? Okay, Bill, I'm going to ask you a question. Okay? Have you ever been praying and needing something that God gave you an excuse of why He wasn't listening?
No.
Marsha, did God ever give you an excuse of why He wasn't going to take care of you?
No, he never did. He's always there.
So we give excuses, but God gives no excuses. God is always faithful. God is always there. The church is there. We're here. But people come up with excuses. It goes on, it says in verse 21, go out at once into the streets and lanes of the town, and bring the poor, the crippled, the blind, the lame. And the slave said, sir, what you ordered has been done. St. George's ministry has been seeking, inviting, welcoming, and loving the hurt and lost in this community. There are people here today, there was a gentleman over there before, this gentleman over here. Have you ever been here before?
I visited before. I haven't been blessed with the church experience.
Okay. How many times have we seen homeless people that come to our church? And we welcome them. We don't welcome them. And we ask them to go downstairs and have something to eat. We show them respect. We show them that we're happy there. St. George is a very inviting, friendly, user-friendly church. We've been like this for years. We want people to come to church. Why? Because we want to give them the opportunity to partake, if not physically, at least spiritually, of the Lord's Supper. And finally, it says in verse 24, for I tell you, none of those who were invited will taste my dinner. 48 years almost, we have been inviting the faithful to the Sunday banquet of Christ here. They never or rarely taste His body and blood, but those who do are thankful and filled with His love and grace. I know someone in the committee, I don't know if any of you know them, nice lady. She said, Father, you know I believe, but I don't like why don't you like to go to church? She said, because I don't, it's boring. Alex, I'm coming to you, so get ready. I want you to give an example, honestly, of something, that is boring, that you find boring.
Here?
No, no. Something that's boring to you.
I'm way too little traffic lights.
Okay. Constantly, something that is boring to you.
Just sit.
Nothing.
Just sit.
Just sitting and doing nothing. It is something that's boring to you. So give us a break. You don't need to go to the laundry, you understand. The machine does it. Okay? If you go down to the river and beat it on the rock, then you're doing the laundry. Well, you got the machine doing it. Now people say, well, I did so much work. I said, you didn't do anything, the machine did it. I mean, right? You don't go down the river and knock it off. Except that to you is boring. Yeah, that's boring. I'm going to tell you what to me is boring. And I'm telling you because if you ever think, gee, I'd like to invite Father John to this, I know he'll enjoy it. I'm telling you I would. You all know what chamber music is?
Quartet?
Yeah, chamber music. Oh my God. Cut my throat and suck out my blood. Please. I can't stand. And people, what I love when people tell something, I don't like chamber music. Oh, it's so, well, to you it's beautiful. To me it's not beautiful. Okay? So, if you find the divine liturgy, if you find church boring, it's because you're not into it. It's as simple as that. And why you're not into it? Because you probably don't understand it. And if you don't understand it, because you haven't taken the time. I love all of our people, I love the Romanian people. Because I do 2 lines in Romanian that only God would forgive me for how I butcher the heck out of this Romanian. Okay? But I do that because I want them to know that we love them. Okay? So I'm sure that if they get to the point where they know it's coming, they're prepared for it. But what I'm getting at is that I spend a lot of time trying to do that correctly. I don't spend as much time in Spanish because I'm blessed, thank you Jesus, for my father who was a linguist, that I can pretty much pronounce Spanish the way it's supposed to be Spanish. I don't, the Romanian, and the Slavonic, God loves me. But we're showing, we're trying. So what I'm saying to you is that if you come to church and it's like, oh my God, it's ever going to end, it's because you're not into it. You're not into it. All right? There are certain operas I love. There are certain operas I don't like Wagnerian opera. I would be suffering through it. Okay? I think, personally speaking, just on opera, I think that the only real opera is Italian opera. Maybe a French opera, but mostly Italian opera. This is, this to me is opera. Okay? To me, it's wrong or right or something else. But what I'm getting at is, when you come to church, okay, imagine you're going to study for an examination. Look at the book. Listen to the words. One of the reasons that St. George's liturgy takes longer than other churches is because we say the words with meaning. We don't just rush through it to get it over with. We're asking God's blessing, we're asking God's forgiveness, we're asking for God's love. So when you do that, when you actually listen to the words, okay, I don't ever tell anybody, I don't mean in a generic sense, okay, I love everybody, but I don't ever tell someone, I love you if I don't really love them. I don't do that. I don't tell people that, I remember this happened many years ago, I was asked my opinion on a dress that a woman was wearing. My answer was, it's a very interesting color. Because it looked terrible on her as far as, and I'm not going to tell her that. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you take the time to look at the divine liturgy, and this lady that's coming, God willing, on Christmas Eve, I'm sure we'll be all something unusual to her or different. The Orthodox Divine Liturgy is not intended to be some simple service. It is intended to be temple worship with Christ as a sacrifice. It is intended to mirror the way the Lord wanted to be worshipped in Leviticus. It is His liturgy. Gabrielle told me one time, she said, Father John, it's not your liturgy only. Remember that? And I said, you know, I can write. But I felt more about it. I said, it's not even yours or mine, it's His liturgy. It's Him that we're worshiping. And we do not do that with jumping up and down and playing cute music, because we're here for Him. We want to be here for us and we go to a concert someplace, we go to a nightclub or whatever it is. We're here to worship Him in solemnity and understanding what we're really doing. We're talking to God. And do you realize how many people around the world are talking to God? And we want God to hear us. He will hear you better if you really are thinking about what you're saying, and most importantly, if you mean it. And the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Let us pray to the Lord.